Hey guys, I'm Ronin Writing, and this is Writer Wednesday. It's Valentine's Day! Happy Valentine's Day, guys. Huge shout out to all you lovers out there. In the spirit of the holiday, I want to talk about romance. I want to make a special note that I don't think any non-traditional relationship or romance is bad or inherently weird. I believe that everybody should be free to practice love however they want. But we are talking about a huge genre, and I don't exactly have a lot of time. So I hope I don't offend anybody. I don't mean to, and I encourage everyone who mostly practices or understands traditional relationships to take a look into non-traditional relationships just for your own betterment. You might find something interesting. Okay, so let's talk about romance. Try to do away with any preconceived notions you might have of romance novels or romance fiction. Big ones are that they're mostly for women, that it's just bad or sloppy writing, or generally just that it's writing that anyone can kind of push out there. There's a lot to learn from romance fiction. It's one of the oldest genres, one of the best-selling genres, and it is that way for a reason. As far as storytelling is concerned, it's got every element you need to tell a good story, and generally speaking, everything is really simplified so that it's easy to understand. A hero has a goal they want to accomplish, super motivated to accomplish that goal, runs into a few snags, accomplishes the goal. And a bonus for kissy time. Romance is by far the biggest fiction genre. It also has one of the largest age ranges, and let's face it, romance is either the central plot or at least a subplot of pretty much every novel that you can think of. Movies too. It's also a massive inspiration for music. So how did romance get to be where it is? Most importantly, it's the most engaging and relatable story type. Pretty much everybody's looking for love. Pretty much everybody understands when it doesn't go well. And everybody loves a happy ending. As far as what makes a romance, pretty simple. Firstly, a love story is central to the plot, and generally the ending is emotionally satisfying and optimistic. Doesn't necessarily have to be that way, but that's kind of your standard template. So, you want to write romance. Power to you. As with any fiction you plan to write, the number one most important thing is to immerse yourself into the genre as much as possible. Now, I'm not saying that you have to curl up with a romance novel every single day, but I do encourage you to sit down, maybe with a notebook, and write out your favorite love stories. That doesn't mean that you have to focus on romance fiction. You could write down Anakin and Padme, for example, or James Bond, and he might be a bad example. My point is, identify the stories that you really resonate with. If you emulate the things that you're passionate about, your work will come out that much better. As you're writing down the love stories that you love, also write down what you like about them. What about those stories gripped you or engaged you so much? Is it the portrayal of a certain type of love? A certain type of lover? Was it the conflict that arose in the middle of the story? Writing all this stuff down will help you identify the kind of story you want to write. Second piece, emotional impact. What do you want the reader to feel after they finish your story? That love conquers all things? That there is no right way to love? That there is no right kind of love? Ask yourself what you want people to get out of your story. That'll help you guide how you're going to write it. Number 3, follow the formula. When you're deciding on a story type, formula can be everything. It's kind of like baking. You can bake a cake 1,000 different ways, but there is a set formula on how to bake a cake. For the romance cake, the basic plot line is boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl. Generally speaking, you're looking for two people that should not be in love, falling in love. One of the best and easiest examples is the wild extrovert falling in love with the shy introvert. In fact, it's best to note here that your lovers should be flawed. Every good character is. Remember to show those flaws and why they're important to the story that you're telling. It might also be good to hint at or show failed romantic pasts. And remember that a lack of a romantic past can also be a flaw. At the very least, it can be an obstacle in the way of the romance that you're trying to form. And of course, in romance fiction, one of the most important pieces is that those characters have to fall in love. Now, I want to note here that there's a difference between dramatic love and real love. Obviously, there's 1,000 different definitions for real love, but I just mean love that happens in real life. In real life, true love can take years to blossom. It can be a really slow and kind of arduous process. Generally speaking, your readers aren't going to pick up your romance novel to read that kind of love. I'm not dissing real love, but I am saying that real love usually isn't as action-packed as the love that we'll find in novels or movies. So try to focus on a really dramatic love. Dramatic love spins around conflict. For example, the two characters might really want to love each other, but maybe there's a disapproving family involved. Maybe they just met and it's super passionate, but one of them has to go away. Or Maybe throughout the younger stages of their love, one of them gets hurt really badly, and now the other one has to care for them. Bonus points if you can link that conflict with a character flaw. For example, super great story. Some business mogul guy who doesn't care about anybody but himself and thinks that he's just the best thing to happen since sliced bread, unsuspectingly falls in love for a beautiful, intelligent woman. He's head over heels, they're dating, going around, boom, she gets into a car accident. Now she needs somebody to care for her. And suddenly, he's enveloped in conflict. His business is everything to him, and he wants to succeed there. It's all he knows. Yet, he wants to care for this amazing woman that's shown him something new in his life. How does he reconcile that? That's an example of a super good love story. Now, the intent here is for your lovers to come together in a happily ever after. So, for example, love transforms business guy into a great husband or boyfriend. He learns that love is more important than business. So he ultimately sacrifices his job in order to care more for her, and because of that passionate, tender care, she gets better. And I don't know, her tender touch is just the thing that his business needs in order to go from evil and money grabbing to cool, and everybody loves it or whatever. Another great example is the lie. I like to call it the long con. Person A falls in love with person B, but they met because of a lie. Person A keeps that lie to themselves and doesn't tell their new love for fear that that lie could destroy the relationship that they've just made. Person B finds out, they break apart, and then person A learns the lesson they need to learn in order to reconcile that lie and come together with person B again. Wedding Crashers is an awesome example of that, by the way. If you haven't seen the movie, it's hilarious, and I highly recommend you check it out. Number 4, keep the action going. Action. Nobody is interested in seeing your characters sit around thinking about their lives. I'm not saying that they have to get into a fist fight every single chapter, but you should show them going to work, going to a play, getting into arguments, picking up kids from school, being stuck in traffic and getting mad about it. This kind of stuff allows you to demonstrate their character, and that'll ultimately strengthen how much the reader understands about them throughout the course of the story. Tip number 5, foreplay is everything. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that just like in a real life bedroom, everything is better with build up and tension. Avoid that instantaneous love stuff. Build it up. Your characters might fall in love at first sight, but getting to that happily ever after is going to take work. They're going to have to overcome obstacles. Otherwise, you kind of don't have a story. Chapter 1, they fell in love. Oh, that's it. Make sure you're working up to that incredibly hopeful, unbelievable love. That's ultimately what's going to pull your reader through the whole process. They want to see it get more and more exciting over time. Speaking of foreplay, I want to talk about intimacy. Now, you write whatever you want to write. Be as graphic and sweaty as you want to be, but I will encourage you to take a note from horror on this one. In horror, they say, the scariest thing isn't what you put on the page, but what your reader imagines. You can dream up the spiciest love scene that you can possibly think of, and your reader can top that in here. So generally speaking, it can be a good idea to give your reader just enough of the pieces for them to fill in the blanks on their own. Imagination is a powerful thing. I also want to talk about tropes and cliches really fast. I want to make a special note that tropes and cliches are not bad. There's a reason things become cliches. It's because they work. If you have believable, interesting characters, you write conflict in an interesting way, and the romance is engaging, it can be as original as a peanut butter sandwich. People are going to eat it up if you have the right elements. So try not to worry too much about being super original or avoiding cliches. You can't avoid them all, you're going to do them anyway, so just write what you want to write. And speaking of that, the most important thing to remember when you're writing a romance is to write what you think is romantic. If you're writing a story that's kinky, write what you think is kinky. If you're writing a story that's about a quirky romance, write what you think is a quirky romance. If you're writing a story about unbridled, unparalleled passion, then determine what you think is unbridled, unparalleled passion and put it in your story. Okay guys, my time is up. I hope this video has been helpful to you. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and please feel free to ask questions and comment. You're all super awesome. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next week.